Thank you very much, viewers, and remind them that we are back on another week of The Fix at Teledal, and today we have in the studio two gentlemen quite well known in the country, quite well known on the political platform of this country, and the topic for this Friday today is actually justice, politics, and the law, and basically asking where do we draw the line. And just before I go further, on my right hand here, I've got Mr. Doudou Dia, a renowned politician, of course, a friend of the press, has been on many platforms in this country, and we look forward to having a conversation. On my left here, I've got, of course, also a well-known politician, a legal practitioner, a lawyer by profession, and he's also been involved with a lot of development when it comes to the involvement of the country's movement legally. And we thank everybody for coming, and this is Teledal, and we welcome you to the show, The Fix. Thank you very much, viewers. We are back at Teledal, our weekly Friday shows that we have here, and we talk about solutions of issues that happens in the country. Of course, having analyzed what's going on in the country politically, socially, economically. And like I said earlier on my presentation of who my guests are tonight, I'll start with lawyer Lamin J Darboe. Mr. Darboe, you are welcome to the show. This probably was your first time to come to the show, The Fixed, and we would like to hear you first and foremost. What are your expectations of the show today, knowing that the topic is the law, politics, of course, justice, basically, and where do we draw the line as Gambians? And once again, you are welcome to The Fix.
Thank you very much. Well, the law, politics, and justice, you can summarize it. Public life, the public life of the Gambia. So obviously, it's a very important topic, and we can come at it from different angles. But basically, at the heart of it all would be the issue of justice. Law and politics are part of it, but how do we ensure that we have a just society in the Gambia? So that's very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darboe. The same question would apply to you, Mr. Doudou Dia. Of course, I've been following, and many of my colleagues have been following some of the things that have been happening in the country, looking at the topic being basically the principles surrounding the political framework, law and justice. Where do you see us?
Thank you for having me on the show. Again, an honor, pleasure to share another platform with lawyer Lamin J Darboe. Topics are interesting. I definitely feel at home at Teledal. The professionalism that I've seen that Teledal it's into, it's superb, I would say. Looking into these topics, I think it's worth discussing as far as the country is concerned. When you talk about politics, it's everyday life in this country. Partisan politics could be periodical. But politics in general is everyday life. Justice, it's touching lives of people, especially of recent events, too many happenings. And people feel so much entitled as far as justice is concerned. So it's equally important to discuss that. When we talk about our laws, it's been years now. New constitution, old constitution, what governs us, what fits the people, what do the people want. So definitely all the topics are very, very, very important. Where do we draw the line? Maybe before the end of the show, we'll see.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dia. Basically, Mr. Darboe, we've seen your movements. Of course, I've always believed that people do things for reasons, and we would like to hear a little bit of some of the reasons why you moved to a point that you have considered yourself no more a member of the UDP. Can you run us through that trail a little bit?
Well, I think effectively it's the culture of overstaying in power. Is very important. When we talk about overstaying, we talk in terms of political leadership, that is the presidency. but obviously political leaders or political party leaders staying as leaders of their parties for decades is something that needs to be looked at. Yes, you cannot do the same thing every time and expect different results. So you reach a point where you decide whether you want to be part of a system like that. If at the national level you are advocating something different from what you are advocating within your party, then it is very difficult to deal with that conundrum. Partisanship can exist between parties, but it can exist within parties as well. Those who are pro-leader, whatever you do, they are happy with it. Those who think the space should be open for everybody. So that is important. I believe the space should be open. I mean, I lived in the United States and the UK. I've not seen any political leader, whether you are the President of the United States with your party in office or the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom with your party in office. It is very rare for them to go beyond 3 terms. If you lose the elections, you may get a chance. That is a may. If you lose it again, you will go. The leadership would change. We say we are a democratic people, a democratic country, but we don't want to practice that democracy within our political parties. I don't understand.
Well, I understand why you said that, because it depicts the information that majority of us are seeing as Hussein Darboe, who's actually overstayed in that position as carrying the mantle of the leadership of the party for several years. Do you agree with him? But the question I would rather ask you, not to only say whether you agree with him, is one point in time, we've seen a lot of movement happening within the APRC. Now, at one point, we even thought some members of the APRC have tried to come up with that clique that's surrounding Talib Bensouda. Today, we are hearing Talib forming up a movement, let alone trying to work on establishing a party. Now, do you agree with him in the sense that, do you think, Talib has just broken UDP?
Well, firstly, I would agree with what he says. When we talk about democracy, it comes with responsibility. It just cannot be theoretical, what we have on paper with sugarcoat. What we have in the Gambia with some political parties, or even most of them, is more of cultism than democracy. Yes, there's no internal democracy.
Cultism?
Yes.
Interesting.
From independence to date, most of the parties that still exist, you mentioned the name of the party, an individual is attached. Now, you talk about the Constitution, manifesto, the ideals, 10 points, 20 points, which means you can't definitely implement that or succeed in it without that individual. You try somebody else, it's not workable. So does the party believe in the individual or the concept that is established within the party, which is which? And in most cases, especially when young people want to try, they said you need to be patient, give it time. You know, life is never guaranteed for anybody. So you must grow older before you take up responsibilities politically. Is that what we're nurturing in this country? And looking into the influx of new political parties registering, emerging, one of the challenges is that people are not hopeful that if I join a certain party or a political party in this country, like transformation or reformation is a possibility. Not only the leadership, but the mindset needs to change. You go into election, you did not win. You need to reflect and look back. What has gone wrong? But you cannot bring the same cycle in every election period. It's still not workable. You still stick to that. Are you into democracy? Do you really believe in winning elections? We need to question that.
Well,
I
will come back to you on that,
yes.
Because the party that you belong to
yes.
had also had a leadership that was here for 30,
exactly.
for 30 years.
Exactly.
So,
I'm speaking
and you
generally.
still subscribe to that.
Yes.
Now, excuse me, Mr. Darboe, looking at what happened 30 years or 30-something years with the tenure of President Jawara, then we have Yahya Jammeh that came on board for 22 years. Now we're looking at Adama Barrow. Are we right? Are we wrong? What should we do to change the narratives or all the rhetorics that have been talked about politically? What are the steps that need to be taken to fix the issues that really is the burn of contention for this country?
Well, we need to move from a culture that tries to tell us that if you aspire to the leadership of a party, then you are betraying the leader who is in the party.
Did you just say that if you aspire for a leadership, then you're betraying the leadership of the party?
The leader of the party, the
Like
owner of...
in the essence of, let's say, Talib and Hussein?
I would say in that context, that is one of the contexts.
Okay, I understand.
And also, during the time of Jawara, there were two camps. When Sadauda announced at Mansa Konko that he wanted to leave, you know, the camps were at war. Some said, no, what would be the PPP without you? What are we going to do? So that culture, like Dudu said, you know very well, Mr. Jara. I mean, there is nothing magical about this.
So obvious.
There is nothing that, you know, there is nobody in the country who does not know this. It's a problem.
Right.
And it's in all the political parties,
right.
Not one, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah. All of the political parties that are over 20 years have this problem. The leaders who were there 20 years ago are still there today. 25, 30 years ago are still there today. That is not the natural way to do politics.
Now, my question would come back to you. Start thinking about it, because becoming a custodian of the law, a legal practitioner, somebody who's been in the courts back and forth, the laws are the problems. And because whoever is there is still being guided by the principle within the reins of the law of the land. So maybe you think like that, Dudu. Do you think the way the government is running, looking at all these allegations coming on board, everything that is being talked about, how do we set that aside, look at it professionally, and also move forward in putting this country at a pedestal that's for positivity and prosperity?
I've mentioned earlier that politics is everyday life. And one of the very first people who defined what politics is Aristotle. Said politics is the study of communities. Now, you go to any country, it's a setup of communities. Now, as a politician, you need to, studying communities is, you need to know what are they made of, what do they want. These are things they want to champion in life. I've experienced that in Libya during the time of the former president, Muammar Gaddafi. What Libya had was direct rule system. It's like a democracy whereby people will confide, discuss, and see what they want, and they table that for the government, and the government implements. That's giving back to communities what they really want. Coming back here, it's different. In most cases, you need to subscribe and ascribe in order to benefit from what government is going to give you. From the days of Jawara coming down to Jammeh, coming down to Barrow, we're experiencing it. Especially when it comes to campaign, you believe in us, we give you borehole, we give you football jerseys, we give you cooking utensils and the like. Did they make a study on the community to provide amenities for the community? But it's most of people that ascribe or subscribe to us, they tend to fulfill their needs. So something has gone wrong when we talk about politics in this country, and that we need to rebrand. Now, you've been elected in office by the people, and that's what democracy is advocating for: government of the people, for the people, by the people. Mm-hmm. So you have to serve everybody, those that voted for you, those that didn't. It's a responsibility soldered on you being in charge of a country. So especially basic necessities. From independence to date, we're still struggling, with good running waters, electricity, good roads. And you can't champion development without this, because each and every one of these, the impact it has on lives, on the country itself, it's outstanding. So there are challenges here. I think politicians need to go back to the drawing board. All this hustle and tussle, you go to the social media, attacks here, insult there and there. Do we understand what politics is? Are we serving the people? Are we serving ourselves, our own interests, like we normally prophesize it? Politics is about interest. There's no permanent friend, no permanent enemy. This ideology, I think, either there should be a shift or a change in the way we do things. I always believe that Gambia can be better than where it is today, and it depends where do we want to take it. But the challenges that we face, are we really discussing it to find solutions to it? Very rarely. But we have a polarized system when it comes to, politicking. Everybody is trying to beat about their chest that I am the right guy.
Well, thank you very much, Dudu. We remind our viewers that they are watching Teledal, and this is our Friday weekly show called The Fix, where we come and discuss issues pertinent to everybody's life, but also come up with solutions to this. Mr. Darboe, I have asked about what must have transpired and must have gone wrong. You just left the UDP recently. You were there years ago. Part of the time that we had to review the Constitution was when the National Assembly is much more saturated by parliamentarians that came from the opposing party called the United Democratic Party. How come they could not change some of these laws or accept a new draft of a Constitution for us to move forward? And what would be your advice legally as a legal practitioner? Because I, for one, think that if the Constitution was amended, some of the things we're talking about now would have been history.
Well, the Constitution obviously is not governing political parties. It is a contract between the government and the people. So when we say the government, we are talking about the three branches of government. That is the National Assembly, the presidency, and the judiciary. Mm-hmm. But judiciary is just a referee. The actual players here are the National Assembly, but especially the presidency, because that is the executive arm of government. It has a lot of power. It is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the country. So what we can do is ensure that there is real rule of law in the country itself. Rule of law is just a mantra in the Gambia. People talk about it. The rule of law, there is rule of law, the government and its spokespeople would all come out and say there is a lot of rule of law under the presidency of Barrow. Obviously, there is rule of law there, but we need to be a more transparent people as far as our public life is concerned. We need to be a more responsible people. We need to open up government. Because today, you can write to very important arms of government, you write letters to them, on behalf of your clients and things like that. You don't get letters, you don't get responses back.
Oh, that's bad.
That is a very, very difficult thing to understand, So government should ensure that there is openness. If there is no openness, human beings mean what they are. And it is not blacks or Gambians, human beings generally. If there is no openness, there is no rule of law, you can bet people will do what they want to do and get away with it. It's just the way things are done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, Dudu, do you think that the National Assembly has failed this country?
Wouldn't say fail for sure, but they've not lived up to expectation.
They have not lived up to expectation?
Yes. One of the titles, they've been called lawmakers. How many laws have they looked at? Have they enacted? Have they changed? From
the term, they didn't talk about the term limit, but they talked about the age. They didn't talk about they talk about the rent tribunal, the rent laws. They did not talk about few things, but again, they talked about other things that had to do with benefits towards towards the development of them personally.
Exactly.
So these are all the things that I am looking at. Of course, now we are looking at 50-50 in terms of the collective responsibility of the National Assembly members. But can we really gauge them from 0 to 10? What would you give them and why?
Like I said earlier, how politics is defined. Most of them is interest-centered instead of giving back to communities. Even when we make laws, they're looking at what favors them or what favors the allied. Like you made mention of by making adjustment or changing the age instead of the term limit. Now, when it comes to term limit, it's going to benefit communities. But when it comes to age, we're personalizing or individuals benefiting. Now, as lawmakers, I think we need to go back to the law. How we even do the nomination for them to qualify in order to contest election and win, then go to the National Assembly. I think that's where the change should come in, so that we'll have competent people vying for this position. At least the shift would take place, would expect that people at Parliament would definitely be able to deliver at par. Making laws, it's not a child play. It requires so many things, and understanding it's key, one of it. And you need to think in order to accept that this is not good, let's change it, or this is good, let's try to put it in. The National Assembly, yes, is a political banter bar, but nonetheless, partisan politics shouldn't be the order of the day. Unfortunately, it is. Certain things are table bills. It's like the ruling party versus the opposition, and the independent candidates will say, where do we throw our weight? This side or that side. It's more of a scale that it must weigh this side or the other side. Do we think, or are they thinking about the impact, the effect it will have with society? Look at the Constitution. You know,
it got thrown to the bin twice.
That's what I'm saying. The first one, how did it came into being? It's like one side said, we're not going to accept this. At the time, it was the opposition. Now, this time, the opposition wants a new one. Those on the ruling have said, this is what you did the last time. It is payback time. So it's like it's been decided by them politically. You know, they'll just throw it to the dustbin. Whilst the masses wouldn't have the opportunity to even decide what they want. But instead, that would be the last phase. So the lawmakers themselves need to look at the laws that would definitely not be biased, and it would be to the interests of the majority. But unfortunately, like he said, they are the key players. If they decide not to play the game, what could the referee do?
Just a bloody visual as go along. Remind our viewers that they're watching Teledal, and this is the fixed show. We are having today Lamin J Darboe and also Duduja. Mr. Darboe, there has been questions going around, and I'm trying to give you this opportunity not to only vindicate yourself, but to also clear the air. Mr. Darboe is the lawyer for the auditor, or a member of the people that stands for the auditor. Mr. Darboe also is a member of the law team that represent Gala. Now, we don't want to see you as somebody who is always on the protesting team. How do we get here? What can we do to move forward? Is this country always going to succumb to, let's say, pressure for them to do something? Or what would you advise government to take a look at? Because something is definitely disjointed here.
Well, say, for example, if you look at the Gala protest, is there a reason for that protest or for the protests that were fronted by Gala? Because there was the Janneh Commission protest. There was also the Pura protest, where Pura intervened on behalf of some telecoms companies to put a floor to the price of telecom services. Should Pura do that on behalf of businesses in the market? I don't think Pura should have done that. What they did was just to take, you know, a petition to Pura. That was it, you know. So me, I have no particular interest in, you know, opposing government for the sake of opposing it. I'm not even opposing government. I don't see these things as political matters.
Okay.
Yes. So Gala, they came to me. I was willing to represent them. Whether I represented them or not, somebody will represent them. Of course,
you just spoke a legal term, and you understand
there
that.
are many people.
Somebody else will.
Yeah, there are many people who are interested in representing them, and so we are a team. But if you go to court and I happen to be the senior person among the lawyers there, then I front the matter, but I'm not the only lawyer there. Now, as to the Auditor General, they said he's UDP, don't you see? When he was fired, he went to a UDP lawyer. The man is not UDP at all. He's absolutely
well, that's
not
not the impression
UDP.
That's what the impression you gave out.
But I didn't represent him because of UDP considerations. I know he's not UDP. He is a professional doing his job. I don't even think he's interested in those public questions as far as party politics is concerned. Yes, he came to me to represent him. So it was very disappointing where some of those comments are coming from. They are responsible people in the country. But I can say I don't represent anybody on the basis of them being UDP supporters. I don't. Yeah. I'll give you an example so that people can understand the context very well.
Please.
You know, UDP has several constitutional cases before the courts, whether that is the Supreme Court or the branches of the High Court, you know, or the branches of the Superior Courts, like, say, the High Court.
Yes.
You know, in those cases, I was not even consulted. Have you ever seen me in those cases? So people are not thinking about the overall situation. There is politics in everything. I was excluded from those cases. Nobody told me to come and join those cases. So how could I be representing the Auditor General because of UDP connections when UDP cases before the Supreme Court and other superior courts excluded me from participating in that for whatever considerations? So it makes no sense.
Mr. Darboe, do you have a political ambition? Because you applied for the flag bearership as well,
yes,
and you withdrew. Was that something of to say, okay, I am not going to get the flag bearership here this time around, but I will definitely aspire for political leadership in this country sometime, some age, or at some moment?
No, I didn't withdraw at all. I participated. I went through the process. The process selected Lamin J Darboe. I didn't think that was something I could live with, so I left the party.
Was the selection fair?
Well, that is, of course, however you look at that, that is going to be subjective. But the reason I withdrew was because I believe it was not fair.
Thank you.
Say, for example, after the interviews before the panel, because there is a selection panel, and those interviews took place at the Manjai Political Bureau. So after that, they said they are going, the panel, they went to consult with the grassroots. Now, the grassroots, they polled, they said they interviewed 17,000 people. Usainu got 16,000. That's what they said. But Amadou Sane got 50-something, 5,000 and something. Boriture got 5,900. Okay. Yeah, I got 3,000, about 3,000. Somebody else, only 5 of us went to the second round. That one got 1,000 and something. But Boriture's and Amadou's together is about 11,500.
Impressive.
Plus mine is about 14,000, 15,000. And the other one who scored about 2,000. So if you add them together, you know that Usainu's 16,000 is not 98.4% of the total, because Usainu got 16, the other 4 together got about 16. So Usainu got 50, let's say 50 give and take 55 or something like that, and then the others got 45. How could the party get that so wrong? Yes, to say that Usainu got 98%. He did not. He got maximum, nothing more than 55%.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darboe. I think that's a good clarity, and I'm glad you've taken the opportunity to clear that part. And thank you very much. But I would have a question for you. The 2 questions I have for you, Mr. Ja, is one of them is, where do you see UDP going? The way things are going, considering the number of resignations that have taken place, 14, 15 in 2 weeks, it becomes a bit more, really a high number. How much impact does your former president, or the former president of this country, still a member of, I mean, of course he's considered the head of the APRC, how much influence and impact does he have on the current party structure? Because again, at the National Assembly, which he mentioned, on the cadre of the leadership of the National Assembly is all APRC. We're talking about, of course, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Fabakary Tombong Jatta. Next to that is, of course, Sidi Njai. This is all coming from APRC. Is this something that Ja may influence?
Well, first to the UDP, resignation in any political party will have its toll. It will have its toll on the party, internally and even externally. And the resignations we see is both internal and external. It's already proof that there are cracks on the wall, whether they accept it or not. And it's not over yet. More resignations are on the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I'm a politician, and I also am a political analyst. Talib having formed his movement, it will motivate more people to resign and join the movement. You know, sometimes people want a shoulder to cry on. It's not available. But once you offer that, then they will use that opportunity. You know, you can bank it. It will come along the way. I foresee that both, you know, in-house within the UDP nationally and also those in the diaspora. More resignations will come. Now, it will have a toll on the party because the dynamics of politics in this country have shifted since 2016 when that coalition was formed to oust Jammeh. It offered a solution to Gambians. Now, if you want your way through, bring everybody together, like they normally say in Mbolo Moetole. United we stand, divided we fall. Yeah. So that mentality has crept itself within the political space of this country. So UDP as a party alone cannot do. And the type of democracy they're selling, a lot of Gambians will not subscribe to that. So that's the problem they're having. Now, instead of keeping the house together, there are cracks on the wall. Will it crumble or not? It depends with what they would do with their party. But for sure, they've lost that grip of winning the 2026 presidency. I can vividly tell you that. Now, give and take, like it or not, the incumbent is still within an alliance. And he's doing whatever it takes to make sure he keeps that house in band and trying to add on to that numbers. So on the side of the opposition, every man for himself, give an easy right to the incumbent. That is simple mathematics without wasting much time. Now, to the issue of Jammeh, like we discussed earlier on, internal democracy, if Jammeh was still in the country, he would have still be the party leader. Does he have influence within the party? Yes. That's what created the NATO alliance. They listen to nobody, they take orders from nobody but Jammeh. That's influence. And when he gives command, he talks to them, he cherishes his side, and he's still in control. He can fire whoever he wants from the NATO alliance. On the side of those on the alliance, it's at a different level. Jammeh is not part of, talk less of to have control of it. Though he's still insisting that the NATO alliance is the right APRC, but legally it's not. You go to the Independent Electoral Commission, the IC, you know, who are the coach, the referee, the overseer of political parties. They don't fit in within that system. Now, does Jammeh have any influence by the appointment of speaker or deputy speaker? Nothing, absolutely. That's totally resides with the president. He's the one who has the powers. There are so many people who wanted to be nominated, but it's for him to decide that these are the 5 I'll nominate. And from those nominated comes the speaker and the deputy speaker. So that has nothing to do with Jammeh, but the president himself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jah. We'll just go for a short break, and we'll be right back after the break. Thank you very much, and we welcome back our viewers and remind them that this is Teledal, and this is the fixed show that we have every Friday evening. My next question goes to Mr. Darboe. Mr. Darboe, how do you see the incumbency, and would you ever join them in trying to make sure you fix whatever you think is disjointed within the incumbency?
Well, you never say no.
Never say never. Never say
you
never.
never say never in politics. But no, that's not something I'm thinking about right now. Because I'm not sure I can influence the direction of the incumbency. That's not very clear to me. So, and what's the point? Joining a political party and not being able to influence the direction of that political party. So that's difficult for me, obviously. I don't know what will happen. What I know is that we are talking to people and going into 2026, So I'll be part of a coalition that will challenge
Impressive. You just told us that you are part of a coalition that might come.
Well, I said I will be part of a
Thank you.
coalition.
Thank you for clarifying
Yes,
that.
we are talking with other people. So we'll be part of a coalition that would probably present a major challenge to any player on the political...
You mean the incumbent?
Well, including the incumbent, obviously, yes. So it's a very unsettled climate, obviously. The incumbent needs to do a good job of persuading people to at least have a favorable view of his administration. And there are challenges there, because you can say, I'm doing a lot of infrastructural developments in the country, but the fact of the matter is those monies that are used to develop infrastructure in the country are the country's money. Those are public funds. They don't belong to the president. I know that. Mr. John knows that. You know that. Even if you say, no, I don't know it. I know you know that. Yeah. It's not the president's money. So I told the president, your legacy will be decided not by your infrastructural developments, but how you tackle governance. Because governance is our biggest problem in this country. Unless we fix governance at the national level, at the level of the presidency, the president has to be the front man in that project. If he's unable to do that, then he will leave no legacy. The roads are not legacies. The buildings are not legacies. They are not his money, but he can come up with excellent ideas in the area of governance. Governance means, obviously, restraining yourself, looking at yourself and asking whether you are doing the right thing is very, very difficult. But it is the difference between successful and failed countries. Governance is the only difference. Nobody is better. No human being is better than the other person. So America is not better than the Gambia. What they are better than the Gambia for is in the area of governance. They control themselves, yes, including the president. Yeah. If the America is not a democratic country, what's his name again? Donald Trump would have been in power in 2020. He wouldn't have left. Yes. It was a very, very close call, even for a centuries-old democratic country like the United States. And their democracy is very fantastic. I lived there for about 8 years.
It's good that democracy is good. I have a little doubt about them still trying to flat few things. We just have a $50,000 being put on as a bond to travel. We will talk about that later because I want to hear your opinion. Do you agree with him?
Quite, yes, quietly. I would definitely agree with him.
Because I'm looking for when he says governance. Yes, the legacy is not the buildings, it's not the road. What are you going to shift his attention to, which would actually help him build that legacy?
Governance is a system. Infrastructure is part of it. But like it said, it's public funds. Whoever is elected into that office would do the same. It depends at what magnitude, to what extent, or what their priorities would be. But there's always money available on the table based on what you'll get from loans and grants. And it's not giving in your name, but the country. So it's public funds. So anybody in that seat would do the same. Jawara did some development. Jammeh did. Barrow is doing. The next government to come, they will also do. That alone will not be the yardstick for your legacy. Then it means all of them have their legacies as far as infrastructure is concerned. Because the country was not ready-made, it's built. How? It depends what priorities government have and what funds are available. Now, let's say, for instance, another government comes, they have more grants. They will do more development that we're currently experiencing. Now, most of these roads, thanks to the OIC. Without the OIC, most of these roads we're talking about today won't be available. Another government coming, they can have something bigger than the OIC. And they will do more than what has been achieved. But the system you put in place, fighting corruption, when it comes to establishing law and justice, like our topics, today we're dilating on, talking about politics in its essence. How did you champion that? How much understanding did the people have based on you being the driver for that? You know, politicians need to be at the driver's seat when issues arise. You need to take charge and talk to the nation, talk to the people. But we're seeing less of that. This government comes out to address issues when they're pressured, but not out of goodwill or they see that is a responsibility or a necessity. But when there is pressure applied, that's when they will come and address issues and talk to people. It should be the other way around. As a leader, you need to listen to the people. How do you listen? Allow the people to talk. Allow them to express themselves. Now, when there are concerns, there are issues, you have to come and address that. Part of good leadership skills is effective communication. You need to communicate, not only communicate, but effectively. Once you talk, people listen to you, and you should be able to move them, get into action. That we are lacking. These are things that you can call legacy. Take Barack Obama, for example. When he talks, he moves people, and they believe in what you tell them, and it gets the action done. People are moving. But you can't, be so reserved. Things happening, social media here and there. Who is there to address the issue? We're talking about government. Not only the president. If the president doesn't do that, somebody within the frame of government has to come and take charge for that. These are things, words people would remember. Look at the former vice president. May his soul continue to be in perfect peace. Badara Diouf, the statement he made, it's everywhere. That is a legacy. And people have hope in just addressing that retreat they have. They're writing it everywhere, it's gone everywhere, and people have even, it has even changed lives. Like doing the right thing, it will help you to get things done rightly. That alone is a legacy.
Dudu, you've talked about communication.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen the stance where, for example, the communication or the information minister comes out and talks. Of course, we have sometimes the party spokesperson comes out and talk. Sometimes we have government spokesperson comes out and talk. Sometimes we even have the press officer at the office of the president that comes out and talk. Now, is it a duplication of effort? Are we not doing it right? Vis-a-vis having a communication strategy. If you were to advise government, I'm just asking you this because you just come up with some tangible points that I think they could be looked at. But what could be your advice before I switch to Mr. Darboe?
I have served a role at the capacity of deputy spokesperson at the APRC, being also the director of media, so I know what it feels like. It's not actually a duplicate of functions. Each of them could play their roles quietly. The challenge here is when you're too defensive, that's where the problem is. It's not being defensive that proves loyalty. That's where they miss the point, There are certain things you have to accept facts.
Are you just saying for being defensive, they tend to see that within the context of being loyal?
That's the concept most of them have. If I am out there, I dare not accept anything negative about the government. All you speak is about the positives. That's not even politics. Like I said earlier, politics is about studying communities. You need to know what people want. Government doesn't always get it right. There is no perfect system where we accept it or not. Where government falls short, accept that. Now, talk about issues. Problems will always occur. How do we fix it? At times, you need to accept. I have defended the APRC, but wherever the former President Jammeh's government APRC goes wrong, I do accept. Now, if you ask me what do we do to solve it, I'll give you opinions. APRC cannot always be right. But these people you're naming, engage them about governance, about the presidency, etc., everything for them, it's okay, everything is perfect, which is not factual. There is no country in this world that has it all fixed. It doesn't exist. But everything you tell them, it seems to be know-it-all. And like you listen to them, there are no problems in this country, which is not factual.
We are fine.
Which is absolutely not factual. Okay. So for me, they need to do better. And at times when they should engage people, face certain situations, they run away. And it goes to the extent when you say something, they feel you've not defended the government enough, or you said things against the government, it becomes problematic. This is why certain civil servants who invite them to platforms like this, they're not coming, because they're careful of what they would say. A slip of the tongue would cost some of them their jobs.
Well, it could have been also a Jammeh's legacy in those days too. There are things you say against Jammeh, you go to
But
the
it has to change. We
five-star
learn
hotel.
from the past, especially when we say never again. We expect for us to involve. Thanks for
Jammeh,
raising
certain
that.
things you say you go to the five-star hotel.
We have two opportunities that this country have created and generated. The Janneh Commission, when it looks into the financial dealings, we should have learned from that and do better. Fight corruption to make sure what was wasted, it's no more happening. The TRRC came, looked into the brutalities, the crimes, the disappearing and the like. But the same police brutalities continue today. Have we learned our lessons? Why did we set up those commissions? What are the positives from it? If it is on paper, practically we're not living it.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jai. I think that's about, a whole point of clarity. We thank our viewers for following us. We also acknowledge the followership coming from the diaspora. We thank them very much for being part and parcel of this show. And Mr. Darboe, of recent, we've seen a lot of protest. What should we do to mitigate that? Because to tell you the truth, the most recent one is the protest against a young man that passed away while he was in custody. Before that, about a fortnight ago, we had the Jabang incident. Before that, we had the Auditor General. Before that, we had Pura. It keeps going on and on and on. Is protest the new way? And can we do without this? Because we have a country to build rather than destroying what's already being built.
I don't believe anyone is destroying what has been built. We didn't do the building as far as system change is concerned. We are still not building as far as accountability is concerned. We're still not building as far as governance is concerned. You know, the government can make these protests redundant. Yeah.
How?
By governing the country properly.
How?
Don't be defensive, like Mr. Jai said. There's a lot of defensiveness in government in this country. And it has nothing to do with Barrow alone. It was there during Sadauda's government. You say the government is corrupt. They know the government is corrupt. They said it's the best government anywhere in the world. With Jammeh, the same thing. You know the government is corrupt, but nobody can say it. It's the best government in the world. Jammeh did, you know, he has quite a magnificent legacy as far as the university is concerned. You know, he can build from the university to a free society, and then that would have been his legacy forever. But governance, obviously, anybody who is able to solve our governance issues would be able to put this country on a firm footing to true development. But you cannot do it with infrastructure alone. Governance is the key. You must have the system control itself. That is what has to happen. And they are not doing it. Whatever you say, he doesn't like the president, he's opposing this and that, it's nonsense. Me, I have nothing against the president. But my interest is Gambia first. Yeah, not an individual. Gambia first. Build the country. And you will be done with this social media, you know, quarrels and all of that. A lot of the media will be redundant. There'll be no protests, or very few. Yeah.
Yeah, I just asked you an earlier on question. Somebody commenting just asked the same question again.
Yeah.
If Barrow calls you tomorrow and says, come and join me for us to work together and build this country, will you go?
Well, it depends at what level. It's a little difficult for me because I made it clear I have dual nationality. I have British citizenship. Now, if I am willing to renounce that...
You could still contribute without renouncing it?
No, I don't know. I would rather operate at the levels of policy than, say, being a permanent secretary or something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're going to have the support of the president. If you don't, he can fire you anytime. Now you renounce your citizenship, something that you worked for decades. And then you said, okay, let me go help the president. You have to renounce your citizenship. And if you do that, then obviously he can fire you any day, any time. Yeah. I mean, I'm very grateful to the president. If I wanted, I could have worked with him. He offered me the Ministry of Interior in 2017 when my party was removed. And, you know, I went to the Supreme Court to have a declaration on that issue, whether it's really constitutional. But, you know, Interior is a very important ministry. The president gave me up to a month or so, and he had to appoint somebody. So I'm grateful to him for that. But, you know, a cabinet appointment is very attractive. But if you renounce something like your dual nationality, only to be fired the next day, now that is a very, very difficult situation.
I understand.
It's not me alone. That is the problem that many people, highly qualified, really have.
Now, that just brings me, and whilst you are thinking about that answer, why is this Diaspora Act still not looked at, how you come on board? Dudu, yes, you might be considered a non-youth as we speak, but you are still within the bracket of the young people of this country. Protest has become the order of the day. And I think there are more ways to mitigate that by coming to the table and have a conversation to talk to each other and come up with ways and means of mitigating this. There's a lot of youth anger coming on the ground. This is not good for the country. It's not good for the government. It's not even good for some of us that travel in and out of this country, because you land at an airport and the first immigration guy, where are you from? Gambia? Problem. You don't want that. So what would you put on the table to offer at your level with the little that you can put together to ensure that we mitigate these things? Because you've lived the life of a president that is no more here, and you're still living the life of a president that's here because you are part and parcel of that sector of APRC that is in alliance with the NPP.
You're absolutely right. There's a broken pillar within the system which is called justice. It's not missing, it's still there, it's broken. Why I said it's broken, justice literally, it's like treating everybody fairly. It's that happening. All this process is taking place. Let's look at fairness here. What's the Jani Commission? Why are they protesting? It's the revelations that has been unearthed by journalist Mustafa K. Darboe. So the people said, seriously, all this has happened? We can just stand aside and watch things like this way. So were people treated fairly? Absolutely not. The case of Pura, the cost of internet, the way it's been driven, people said it's not fair. And again, it's not fair. Let's make comparisons to neighboring countries, other countries in the world. It's not fair. Amongst other protests. Now, for instance, if Omar Baji was treated fairly, perhaps his life could have been saved. Was he treated fairly? I don't think so. What happens in Jabang and other places? Now, justice in its essence, even you go to the Quran, Allah says, Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. That Allah has commanded us to be just, wal ihsan, and to do good. Now, if we're just and we treat people good, with goodness, kindly, the way they should be, will we have problems? If yes, it will be very minimal. So that's why it is called injustice, because we're not treating people fairly. Now, if you said ihsan means good, are we treating people good? Even when they do something wrong, the way we treat them. Look at the Pura protest. Somebody just to say, you should disperse. You're assembling here, it's illegal. He says, no, we are legal. Get him arrested. Is he treated fairly? No, absolutely not. Is that something good? Definitely not. But even the police will come and defend that. So that's where the problem lies. And the program says the fix, we need to fix that. And unless and until it is fixed, protests will continue. Brutality, it's not going to stop. But because once you don't treat people fairly, there will be problems. Because I feel I am entitled to peaceful assembly. You saying no to that, then we'll clash. Now, accept that peaceful assembly. Make sure it is peaceful by you guarding it. What are you here for? We've just come to submit a petition to Pura. Facilitate that. They have a word or two. Get them dispersed. Everybody goes home and there's peace. But when you want to say I am here to enforce the law. I am in uniform, I have weapon, so you either listen to me or I crack it down. That's where people are not treated fairly. Now, if the civilians had the same of what you have, now it will be a matter of chaos. And especially the people you're cracking down, they just have placard, paper. What harm could they do? They're not obstructing traffic, they're off the road. We want to submit a petition. If you can't tolerate that, what else? No, you must get permit in everything. Is it a police state? It's not. No, these are things we need to echo. We need to voice it out. People will not like it, but it's the reality. If you use your conscience, you put your place in their shoes. Today you're the police officer. Tomorrow you could be in their shoes. Will you accept the same treatment? No. So justice talks about treating people fairly and do good. As long as that is not attained, we'll continue to be in that
Thank you very much, Dudu Ja. Of course, we appreciate that part of your clarifications that you've made. We remind our viewers that they are watching Teledal, and this is our weekly show, The Fix. Mr. Darboe, what is your interpretation of the Public Order Act? Because it's been causing a lot of misunderstanding. I've got the young man here before who interpreted the Public Order Act in a way that he thinks it is. I had a police officer who looked at how the Public Order Act should be looked at and should be actually put in place. I've got an activist. Of course, Madi was here, and I've asked him about these things. I just want to hear the legal point of view, Mr. Darboe.
Well, the legal point of view, yes, there is a Public Order Act. But the act came into being to suppress the independent movements in Africa. The Public Order Act is the same in the Gambia as it was in Nigeria, as it was in Ghana. All the British colonies have the same act. Yeah. Because the purpose was not to ensure that there was public order. The purpose was to make sure that those who were agitating for independence, for self-rule, are not able to mobilize the people so that the Gambia, as an example, but also Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, can do that. So it is targeted at the political leadership. Yeah, the political leadership that was emerging out of the grassroots during that era. We need public order. There is no question about it. But the Public Order Act, the fundamental issue there is how it is interpreted. They'll tell you that there are other laws. But if you look at the Public Order Act, what is intended to do is to ensure that people get permits to demonstrate. But if you are not using a public address system, yes, you are not disturbing anybody where that is concerned. You can go and meet with people and try to educate them. That is a possibility. But unfortunately, the way the government is using the Public Order Act is anti-democratic. We need to get rid of it as they are implementing it in this country. The Public Order Act should be there to guide people and the police. You ask for a permit. What are you doing it for? People want to just peacefully demonstrate. Give them that opportunity. Once you give them that opportunity, eventually you will be in a situation where nobody even wants to demonstrate, as long as you fix the problems that are triggering the demonstrations on the streets. Yeah, but say, for example, people with no microphones and things like that, should you arrest them? I don't think that is what the Public Order Act said. But if you said that, they'll say, oh, but the Constitution itself says you must not disturb other people subject to other laws. You cannot subject the Constitution to any other law. You have to interpret the Constitution and see whether the Public Order Act fits within the constitutional parameters. If it does, then there is no problem. But if it conflicts with the Constitution, then the Public Order Act goes and the Constitution stays. So I believe the government should just govern properly, and these demonstrations will go.
Now,
Yeah.
if we continue leaving young people protesting and protesting, I mean, it could lead to something. And don't you think, well, I've asked this question before, a police officer, the question that was being asked is, there could be a protest without any violence, without any problem, as long as the paramilitary, the police are not there. As soon as they arrive, something goes wrong. Don't you think they get provoked by the young people? Or what can be put in place in as much as we allow them? This is the new dispensations of politics in this country. Years ago, you don't see these protests being so occurrence. In fact, you could go 10 years without any single protest. Now is open. The press can speak. We can all talk the way we feel like, go to places we feel like, say things that we want to talk about. Don't you think the government is much more tolerant to the point that they're allowing everybody to do what they feel like? And how do we mitigate these things that trigger eruptions of violence within the young people and the law custodians like the police?
Like you said earlier, democracy comes with responsibility. Once you acknowledge that you're a democratic country, people will protest. It's not going to stop. What can minimize it is doing the needful, doing what is right. It will definitely minimize protests. People don't just protest out of the blues. There are always reasons. Now, if those problems or issues or concerns were addressed, it could perhaps avert the protests we're having. Take, for instance, the case of Omar Baji. If life was not lost, there would not have been protests. If internet in the Gambia, it's affordable, the quality is good, nobody goes to Pura to protest. We have to accept these facts. If the Janneh Commission was handled the way it should have been according to law, people will not take to the streets to contest. So as a government, you need to go back to the drawing board and ask what has gone wrong. Fix it. It's the fix.
It's the fix.
Yes,
thank you.
It has to be fixed.
Yes,
now,
definitely.
Once you fix it, then protests will go down. Okay. But once you don't, people will continue to protest because there are issues affecting them, either directly or indirectly. Today, people are complaining about the cost of data, even though they won't go out there to protest. But once they see it happen, it's like doing it for them. They'll tell you, I'm behind you, we're supporting you. So government has a responsibility. That's why I said politics should go back to the community. Study the community, what they need, provide these basic amenities. It's like people can't live without it. You either give it to them or they will come and show their frustration. Now, the police, their role, their primary function is to protect life and property, is to safeguard the peace we have. So police should not be in a place whereby they're even allowed to be provoked and chaos erupts. It's like sometimes, like they themselves, that's what they want, so that they can start throwing tear gas. What I saw in Mandinari, it left me asking, how much does tear gas cost? Okay. I went online to find out. Based on the size and what it's been used for, it's not cheap. But the way the police is firing it, is using it, for me, if you ask me, they're abusing it. Okay. Your role is to disperse crowd, to control crowd. You just happen to fire a tear gas. People take to their heels. Why keep firing tear gas? You want them to inhale it and get sick? You're not protecting life. If you want to disperse, once you start achieving it, it's strategy, not force. Yeah? Force should always be the last resort. At times, if you talk to the people, they might receive at some point. But if you communicate effectively, you will be able to convince them. And also, let's do what is right. Now, at that crowd, before it all erupted up, you already found destruction. They burned the police station and the like.
Yes,
come and talk to them.
What is built.
The minister or whoever, and tell to the community that justice will be served. Like where they ended, that's where it should have started. Okay. The patrol team will be suspended, action will be taken. You will dampen the spirits of the people. Some of them would have gone home or relaxed. But it is not happening. Force is not always what should be done. Now, you disperse a crowd. One person standing at the point. You release tear gas on an individual. How much does that tear gas cost? You chase somebody who takes refuge in a compound and you throw tear gas inside that compound. You are abusing people's health. That's how we have to call it. Now, in the absence of tear gas now, how would the PIU, the police itself, how would they control crowd? This is my question. In the absence of tear gas, because they've not shown professionalism. You get hold of somebody in handcuffs, you're stamping them, hitting them, That is abuse. That is brutality. It's viral on the media. If they sit at their own pace and watch those videos, how do they feel? Are they there to protect life, to serve the people, or there to brutalize them? So these things need to be looked at, and a lot needs to be done. We've talked about security sector reform. How much reform has been achieved? It's been years. But it's like what we're building, it's starting to crumble again, and we shouldn't allow that. So much millions have been pumped, millions of dollars into that. Now we cannot allow it just to disappear in thin air. Something needs to be done.
Thank you very much, Dudu Ja. We thank our viewers and also, acknowledge of the followership from the diaspora. This is Teledal, and this is the fix. So as we are narrowing down on time, in general terms, Mr. Darboe, yes, Dudu talked about tear gas. The question he asked still starts lingering in my mind. How much of crowd control mechanism that could be put in place in the absence of using tear gas? I think it's a valid question. And if you were to advise the police, you do also have friends and colleagues that are of course, part of the judiciary. And I know you guys interact in one way or the other at different facades. What would you advise? Because we are at a crossroad as a nation, and we need to look at ways and means of ensuring that not only mitigating the risk of having destroyed what is being built, but there's a reputational damage that we are also sending out there to non-Gambians who are within the diaspora or intend to visit the Gambia, knowing very well that tourism is one of our key factors of revenue.
Well, the police and the citizen, it's like you and your 5-year-old child. Will you fight with your 5-year-old child?
No.
The police have the responsibility to protect the public, like he said, life and property. Yes. Now, if you are trying to say to the government that we are protecting the government, I don't think that is what they are doing. The police needs to make sure they have a much more professional relationship with the public. The hostility coming from the police, as far as public order is concerned, regulating demonstrations and things like that, is just too much. There is no enmity between them and the people. They should know that. And they are not there to protect or promote the political agenda of the presidency. Yes. So the president himself, whoever comes to that position, must make that clear to the police that you protect the public order, protect property and lives, not necessarily the presidency. But for me, the fix really would be good governance. All these things would be redundant.
Now, just in a nutshell, what would be your opinion on the anti-corruption bill and the draft constitution? Because I know these are all frameworks put together to ensure that governance is being looked at a much more cohesive way.
Anti-corruption bill is, anti-corruption is, that is really a fantastic initiative. But if you're talking about anti-corruption, you need to look at it, much more holistically. Corruption is not like somebody just going and stealing money. That is not corruption. It works in very subtle ways. Yeah, it works in very subtle ways. Only governance, transparency can control corruption. Before we reach the courts, it shouldn't even happen. You can create an environment where, if it happens at all, it will be at a very minimal scale. But, if you say corruption, people would say, oh, they are jealous. People told me that, some of my friends. They said, if people talk about corruption, they are just jealous of some of these public servants. After all, did the President Jawara not say that, Yeniso Sitidame Yeah. So, you see? Yeah. So obviously, make the system transparent. Let's not go after anybody to punish them. Just, make sure it's very, very difficult to take public money. Yeah, it's very difficult. How many of us would just find $10,000 is at the junction here and you say, no, this one, it belongs to somebody, let me leave it here. The person will come and take it. Now, if money is available in the government system, you know, and you know that there is no accountability there, obviously people will take the money. It's just like money you found on the streets. There is no system there. If you are not caught, you get away with it. You can take the money. Yeah. So, but anyway,
the draft?
Well, the draft constitutions, I think, you know, the government and the other stakeholders, like the National Assembly and especially the political parties, they need to come together and see how to move forward. Yeah, there are problems with the 1997 Constitution, but at the end of the day, we can edit the 1997 Constitution in a way that we can fix the imbalances there, because there are imbalances there, especially between the executive arm of government and the judiciary and the National Assembly. The president at the time, President Jammeh, wanted to control all those branches of government. So there are those problems within the Constitution. But have you seen anybody change Chapter 4? Chapter 4 are the fundamental freedoms. They are entrenched. You cannot change them. If you want to, you have to go to a referendum.
Right.
So it would be the National Assembly, a referendum, and the president signs. Now, if somebody says, Mr. Jallo, you know, you talk too much. Now we want to make sure that we remove press freedom, we remove freedom of expression. If they ask you that question, do you want them to be removed in a referendum? You will say no.
No.
Exactly. So nobody touched them. Yes, sometimes the court can.
Entrenched laws.
Yeah, sometimes the courts can interpret them wrongly. Yes, especially at the level of the magistrates and sometimes the High Court. It's just perspective sometimes. But otherwise, Chapter 4 is really a good section of the Constitution that can make sure that the people are protected. Yeah.
Well, I thank you for that. I'm just about to wrap up because I'm running out of time before I come to you. Just one last question, and I think it should be a question that you could just take a minute to do that. You are very active. I think you are also a member of the executive of the UDP before, and then also a member of UDP at a general platform. Then you are now out of that sector. What are your plans? Do you have plans to form a new party? Do you have plans to like you said earlier on about becoming a member of the another coalition? What's just the next step for you now?
Well, just to clarify, I was never a member of the UDP executive.
You were not a member of the executive. Thank you for the clarification.
I was never a member of the executive. Okay. But going forward, yes, hopefully I'll be holding a press conference within the next, within the month.
Within this month.
To announce my intention to run for president.
You want to give us a gist of that?
Yeah, to run for president in 2026 as an independent candidate.
Because
but of course,
this is the fix. Yeah. Everybody's watching.
Yeah.
You're looking at 2-something million views in the next couple of days. So let people know what you plans.
Well, obviously, 2026.
You are going to contest as a presidential candidate.
Within a coalition, hopefully.
Thank you.
Yes,
you just got that part cleared.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, though. I'll come back to that. Thank you so much as well. On a summing up of all we've been talking about here since we started this conversation, we came from somewhere. This is where we are. We have aspirations and intentions to go elsewhere. We all, one thing is common. Now, we want this country to move forward. There's a disjointment from the executive to the judiciary to the legislature. How do we put this together? Because the executive control, let's say, for example, structures like the Gambia Police Force, okay, the SIS, the other structures that are there to help. How do we put this together to fix what we've been talking about, to ensure that we unite this country? At the end of the day, we are all citizens and we want the best for this country. And you could use that also as an opportunity to exit as we are running out of time. I'll just give you 2 minutes to do that. Thank you very much for coming to the Fix once more.
Well, governance is, I'll describe it more of a tree. The executive is the root. You know, get rid of the roots, the tree crumbles. So it's all rooted in there, like you said. the connections, for everything, the root is the basis. It all begins in cabinet. That's where they put the country on the table, look at all factors and issues.
At cabinet?
Yes,
so cabinet
check the problems.
Cabinet is watching this.
Exactly, and that's where they should offer solutions. SIS needs to do this, the police needs to do that, this ministry has to do that, all to the interest of the country. Now, I'll thank you for inviting me, and I always emphasize, let's practicalize our national anthem. It has all the solutions to our problems.
For the Gambia, our homeland.
For the Gambia, our homeland. We strive and work and pray. So we all may live in unity, freedom and peace each day. To the end, every word of it has a problem to fix in this country. When it is sung, we stand, show respect, humility and all that. But the messaging in it, if you ask me, it should be even taught in schools, beginning from primary school. They need to know what is embedded in the national anthem. It will help to build patriots for this country. It's what would encourage nationalism instead of the partisan politics we're having here. It's definitely tearing this country apart. Those supporting government are in support of government. Those against it are against it. Yes, democracy comes in that way.
Don't you think we're having too many political parties coming?
Of course, we're having that.
Now everybody's coming to become, I just saw...
Unless and until the IEC regulates or we enact laws about internal democracy at party level, we'll continue to have parties emerging. People don't have hope that they have opportunities at political parties. It's Duduja and Duduja forever, as long as I'm alive. That wouldn't motivate others to join.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dudu. Thank you very much, Lamin J Darboe. We are so much grateful to be part of, to have you on this platform. And we, remind our viewers that they are watching Teledal, and this is our Friday evening show called The Fix. And we are so happy to have you here, and we hope that it will go a long way in obviously fixing this country. And we thank all our viewers from the diaspora to our home base, and we thank all the studio members that have been here to ensure that this particular show has got this much success, and we thank everybody for viewing and to contributing towards the fix in the Gambia. So we hope to be back next week, and we will talk about more of the development issues of this country, and in fixing it, we'll come up with solutions, and we will also always have guests like you, very much known and have got answers in resolving and fixing the issues of this country. Thank you very much.